Our guest speaker today is Ana Karen Agüero Rojo, a Peterson alum and current student at the Science School in Paris, France. She's currently studying her master's degree in international security, and apart from her many accomplishments, Ana Karen was awarded this past month the unique opportunity to interview current Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Her academic background in international security allowed her the opportunity to bridge the geographical gap and ask one of the most influential leaders today how he continues to protect his people and inspire the world to join the Ukrainian cause. In this interview, she will be telling us a bit about her academic background, her passion for international relations, and how her accomplishments can inspire girls, women, and Mexicans worldwide. Thank you very much, Ana Karen, for chatting with us today.
But for me, it was important that given this opportunity to speak with one of the most influential people in world affairs right now, I also got to ask him about the future. And thinking about the future sometimes means how are we going to mend relationships? Because even if the situation is dire right now, it is important to think what are we going to do to reconstruct those bridges because the war is going to be over at some point, and it's important to just think of reconstruction and not just fighting, because when the fight is over, it's important to know that it was for something, hopefully something better and more freedom, more democratic for everyone. And so you have to give meaning to the fight, but you also have to allow for the whole environment to actually flourish and have some sort of development. So when I asked him the question, I asked him to think how he saw the relations of his country with the West, which have been like hugely supporting the Ukrainian cause, not only in sending money but also resources and spreading the message of unity and the commitment to the liberal democratic values. So that's with one side on the West, but with the other side, the idea was to look into the aggressor, Russia in this case, and just think what can we do to ensure that Ukraine is never invaded again and that they protect all their sovereignty and basic rules of international law. Of course, his answer, I don't think he could have said too much. And I think some of my friends asked me, were you disappointed with what you heard? Because overall, he said that he couldn't give away much information right now because it really depended on how the war ends. And he says that in order for them to trust Russia again, they actually need to have some sort of papers and they need to reinforce institutions, which to me already it's reassuring because he has said in many occasions that he's kind of disillusioned with how the UN has responded, how NATO has responded. So for him to just go back and rely on institutions, it really shows that even if there are setbacks, they're setbacks. It's not that their institutions do not work, and that's one of the main premises for democracy. I think that there are many aspects to this exchange that we had the opportunity to do because he has been very vocal in organizing Zoom conferences, participating in the UN, delivering speeches. Like this shows that there's another dimension to how a world leader can participate in world affairs and how he has used technology to actually spread the message faster and win more support. He's a really good speaker. I think that if you go back to what how he structures these speeches, they're really emotional, but they're really powerful as well. So that's one dimension of the importance of this conference. And then the other thing it was the first time that he was speaking to schools, like universities in general. So in around fifth grade or something, I took a trip with my family. We went to New York. We went to the headquarters for the UN, and that's the moment I decided that I actually wanted to work in the UN. I was like, oh, this is
That's
so
amazing.
so amazing, multicultural,
Yeah.
everyone's from everywhere. And I just remember like feeling very kind of engaged in the international like community, and it filled me with hope. And that was kind of like my first approach. And I think that another thing that adopted on that is that we had a book, and I remember it was like social studies. And that's like when I started like reading about different cultures. And I was like, this is amazing. The fact that we can all come from different places, but still, like, there are many things that just come from the Egyptians, from the Romans that we have today in Mexico, in the US, and everywhere in the world. So everyone kind of adds up to the history of everyone. So that was when like the Peterson background kind of like helped me to find my way through social studies and everything. And I mean, I was really, really good in the history, geography, literature, art, and those are really big things for Peterson, I think. Well, first of all, I don't know if many of the girls who are going to be seeing this video at some point know, but international relations, it's a field that it's heavily male dominated. It wasn't until very recently, this is a very new career as a whole, but in general, like women were not involved in the political life, let alone international politics. But it is really important that we are included in not only just the talks, but just in the framing of where do we see the world, because we're also part of the community. So getting involved is a big part. Entering this world that was before male dominated can be quite intimidating. I do want to say that even though it may seem scary, there may be people out there who are not that open to change. There are people who are very much aware of the possibilities of having different voices. So when you ask me to give a message to girls, I also want to give a message to boys about having inclusion and actually just knowing that you're both boys and girl responsible for the future that we're going to have tomorrow. It's not about like your sisters, your mothers, whatever. We're all responsible, and we should not be bearing the stereotypes for one gender to force them to behave in a way that was socially acceptable before, but society is shifting, and I think it's our responsibility to shift it in the right direction. So just I
Makes
would
sense.
say if you find that international relations or any other area is still not is still very male dominated, but it's something you want to explore, do not be discouraged. Many times I think one of the most important lessons that I've learned is know how to fail and just like do it again. My friends laugh, but sometimes I always say, I enjoy failing from time to time. They're like, why would you say this? And I was like, because then you know that nothing bad is going to happen. Sometimes we're more afraid of the fall than what the fall actually means. Sometimes we're just like, okay, I'm just going to get up. I know that this wasn't the right thing. And then you recalibrate, and then you can actually grow stronger and you're wiser. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. um, don't get discouraged easily. Just remember, and I think like this is something that also Peterson gave me the confidence. If someone tells you, oh, you're worthless for this or you can't do this, just remember like that's just one person's opinion, and your opinion of yourself should be more valuable because you know your own limits and capacities. So do not be discouraged and just work for whatever you want to accomplish, and I'm sure you will.
No, thank you so much. Honestly, thank you for the space, for the time. I know you're very busy, but all of these words really inspire everyone in our community. We're so proud of you, and we can't wait for you to come back and tell us more in person. Hopefully, at some point, you can visit us. Um, and yeah, just continue with this incredible journey and stay in touch. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for the space.